What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Wednesday, September 3rd, 2025, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now it is 12:49 Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from here in the US. So, apparently a B-2 stealth bomber is crossing over the Atlantic or has crossed over the Atlantic. Radio monitors reported hearing the call sign Cult 71, which is a B-2 stealth bomber call sign, checking in with both the GUNNR radio and Swanwick radio high frequency stations. And what these stations are for is air traffic controlling. So GUNNR radio is air traffic controlling in the New England area. And typically when bombers fly over the Atlantic, they communicate with that air traffic control station GUNNR radio in New England before they start to make their way over the Atlantic. And then when they get to the UK, they communicate with Swanwick. Okay, and this happened right around 0730 Zulu time. So that was right around 3 a.m. or 0300 Eastern time earlier today. Okay, so a stealth bomber has crossed the Atlantic for some reason. And also radio monitors reported that when the stealth bomber was communicating with those air traffic control stations, they were saying commercial air traffic is being advised of a heavy B-2 in the area. So they actually did advise commercial air traffic in New England and overseas that stealth bombers or a stealth bomber were flying through the area. So this is very, very serious. And right now we have a U.S. presidential doomsday plane that just went from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base to Offutt Air Base. Now the president of the U.S., Trump, is going to be meeting with the Polish president in the next couple of minutes. The Polish president landed in D.C. last night for an unscheduled visit with Trump, so something must be going on. I don't know if they're going to be talking about the Russian drone that flew 60 miles into Poland and blew up, and that was 2 weeks ago. But unscheduled visit to the U.S. by the Polish president. He's going to be meeting with Trump at the White House very, very soon. And in addition to the doomsday plane, we also have a nuclear war command and control plane that went south to the Gulf of America. These planes are responsible for communicating with our nuclear-armed submarines. Also, we have a B-52 nuclear bomber that just took off from Shreveport, and we also have some sub-hunting activity off the coast of Orlando again. They've been flying here a lot the last couple of weeks, and this is probably related to the Caribbean operation that the Trump administration has started. And also last night we had a large number of aerial refuelers leave from Qatar, the Al Udeid Air Base. At least 4 or 5 of them flew to the UK, and then 3 of them flew all the way to Crete and then made a U-turn and came back. Now, typically, these aerial refuelers that took off from Qatar are associated with fighter and bomber squadrons. They use them to escort fighters and bombers when they make their way overseas. So I don't know if this is related to that stealth bomber going over the Atlantic, but something is going on, guys. And remember my update over the weekend. And remember my update yesterday of the U.S. nuke sniffer that flew all the way up to Russia's Kola Peninsula and was hanging out right off the coast of Murmansk, which is where Russia has 2/3 of their nuclear-armed submarines, okay? So here you can see 2 of these known aerial refuelers associated with bombers and fighters that took off from Qatar, flew to Crete, turned around and came back. And then you can see several more that continued on and went all the way up to Mildenhall. Here you can see 5 of them that left Al Udeid and went up to the UK. So this is very concerning, some kind of redeployment happening of our aerial refuelers from Central Command to the European area. And I want to update you guys on the situation with Venezuela. So the Venezuelan President Maduro has apparently begun mobilizing troops along the coast and border with Colombia, according to satellite images. And Venezuela's communications minister said that the U.S. strike on the drug boat yesterday was fake news and that the video was generated by artificial intelligence. And this morning, in a Fox News interview, the U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said that the video was not AI. And he said that with the boat strike, Trump was sending a message to Venezuela. And he also said that assets are gathering in the region. Okay, so like I said, guys, that boat strike was a demonstration strike to Maduro. Okay, I do think Trump is going to try to take out Maduro and put in an American-friendly government there for various reasons. Number one, to deal with the drug trade. Number two, because of the oil in Venezuela. Venezuela is the second largest oil, has the second largest oil deposit in the world aside from the Middle East. Okay, and also comparable to Russia as well. So huge oil reserves in Venezuela. And we have some very concerning news coming out of Philadelphia. For some reason, the U.S. military, the Department of Defense, will be conducting training exercises in sections of Philadelphia. This was released by the city of Philadelphia on their website. I want to read to you what it says here. It says, "City informing residents and businesses of drill for safety and awareness purposes. The Department of Defense will conduct training and exercise drills in parts of Philadelphia between August 31st and September the 6th. This type of DoD training is conducted numerous times a year in cities throughout the U.S. Simulated response at real-world locations is necessary and critical to test an agency's plans, communications, and operations. This training exercise is not in response to any specific event and exclusively involves interaction between DoD personnel and first responders with the overriding goals of preparedness and saving lives in emergency situations when they occur. Training exercises of this nature are crucial in preparing Philadelphia to host the world's 2026 celebrations on its global stage in a safe and appropriate manner." So probably talking about the World Cup, but they're saying that they conduct this exercise numerous times a year in cities across the U.S. and that it's not in response to any specific event. But I don't understand why they would suddenly be doing a big exercise now when the World Cup is next year, okay? And I also don't believe that they do this numerous times a year in cities across the U.S. because we would obviously hear about it, okay? It's a big enough exercise that they actually had to put out this memo letting residents and businesses know about it, okay? So people don't get freaked out. If they truly did this all the time, then we would be seeing and hearing about it, okay? Residents near exercise locations may experience sights and sounds related to an emergency response. Public awareness, safety, and lessening impact in the community were considered during planning. So plans and precautions are in place to inform and protect residents near training sites. So why do they have to protect residents near training sites? They must be doing some high-risk exercises. And the Philadelphia police will be on site for the duration of training and exercise. For safety reasons, residents in the immediate area of training are being asked to follow the direction of authorities on scene To maintain public safety, there will be no public or media viewing opportunities available during the exercise. Wow. Okay, so this exercise is so serious that they have to inform residents in Philly, and that for their safety, they cannot just wander around near these exercises, and they have to follow the direction of authorities. And to maintain public safety, there will be no media viewing opportunities. Sounds pretty sketchy to me. And the International Atomic Energy Agency says that Iran's inventory of highly enriched uranium is a matter of serious concern which must be addressed. And they said that Iran removed 2 experienced IAEA inspectors, which the IAEA calls unjustified. So very concerning. And Trump criticized Chinese leader Xi Jinping during Beijing's military parade, citing ongoing trade and tech tensions. On Truth Social, Trump wrote, "Please give my warmest regards to Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong-un as you conspire against the U.S." Wow. And Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told Fox News in an exclusive interview that all options are on the table as the Trump administration weighs sanctions on Russia after President Vladimir Putin continued to bombard Ukraine despite recent talks about peace. "I think everything's on the table," Bessent said. President Putin, since the historic meeting in Anchorage, since the phone call when the European leaders and President Zelensky were at the White House the following Monday, has done the opposite of following through on what he indicated he wanted to do. As a matter of fact, he has, in a despicable manner, increased the bombing campaign, Bessent added. So I think with President Trump, all options are on the table, and I think we'll be examining those very closely this week. Wow. So Scott Bessent saying all options on the table, saying that Putin has not followed through with what he said he was going to do after Alaska, and that he has increased his bombing campaign in a quote-unquote despicable manner, according to Scott Bessent, and that Trump will be reviewing all these options this week. Wow. And at the close of the Chinese Shanghai summit, Putin gave a press conference and he talked about the Ukraine war. I want to just read to you some of the highlights of what Putin said. He said that supposedly he is ready for a meeting with Zelensky. He said, if Zelensky is ready for a meeting, let him come to Moscow. He also said Ukraine has the right to choose its own security system, but not to do so at the expense of Russia. He said Russia has always opposed Ukraine's NATO membership, but not its EU membership. He said the issue of security guarantees for Ukraine in exchange for territory was never raised, okay? So I'm telling you, Russia does not want boots on the ground European peacekeepers in Ukraine, okay? So he's saying that this was not discussed. He also claimed that Russia offered Ukraine to withdraw its troops from Donbass and end the conflict as early as 2022 after the withdrawal of troops from the capital of Ukraine, but he said that Ukraine changed its position. He also said Ukraine needs a referendum for the territorial issue, which requires the lifting of martial law and therefore elections in Ukraine. He also said there's no current date scheduled for Trump's visit to Russia, so no visit to Russia as of right now. And Putin also said nobody said anything negative about the Trump administration in Beijing. Yeah, right. And he also said that the Ukrainian military is in critical condition. He said they're no longer capable of large-scale operations. He said Ukrainian combat-ready units are staffed at no more than 47 to 48%. He said the Ukrainian military is constantly forced to redeploy units from one part of the front to another. He also said there's a light at the end of the tunnel. He said also that if they don't resolve the situation with diplomacy, that the solution will be to resolve it militarily. So he's not giving up on military means. And he said if common sense prevails, then we can agree on an acceptable way to end the conflict in Ukraine. and he reaffirmed that he is against Ukraine joining NATO. And Putin apparently invited North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un to Russia. He also thanked North Korea for participating in the liberation of the Kursk region. He said, "I want to emphasize that your soldiers fought bravely and heroically." He said that to Kim Jong-un. And China had their largest military parade ever. Want to just show some clips from this parade. They did unveil some new weaponry, and they also showed off some of their nuclear missiles, their critical nuclear deterrent. So what you're looking at here is actually video footage of their Dongfang 5 missiles and the accompanying warheads that go on them. And this is one of the primary missiles for the Chinese nuclear arsenal, the DF-5. What's so scary about it is that it carries 5 megaton warheads. Each missile can carry a single 5 megaton warhead, and that's probably what they're showing right here, because you can see the rocket booster engines, the different stages. Okay, they have, looks like, 1 or 2 of the stages of the rocket broken down, the different motors. And then here you can see the accompanying warheads, and these warheads are 5 megatons of blast yield. Okay, so these are what are known as city killers. There's really no military use, or you would never use these types of warheads against a military target, because they're just such overkill in terms of their explosive power. If you want to destroy a base or a bunker, you don't need such a massive blast yield. So these are for targeting American cities and causing massive destruction over a large area. That's where you need that massive blast yield. Okay, so this is extremely concerning. China also unveiled 4 new types of advanced anti-submarine torpedoes. They also unveiled a new laser weapon system. They also unveiled a new road mobile ICBM known as the DF-61. And they also unveiled the YJ-17 hypersonic missile. They also unveiled some new unmanned shipborne rotorcraft. So basically unmanned helicopters that can be launched from aircraft carriers. Okay, they also unveiled a new large air-launched ballistic missile deployable from their H-6 bombers. Okay, so let me just show you some footage here. Absolutely insane. So here we have a picture of one of those unmanned helicopters. Unless these are just props and they're fake, okay, I don't know, but if this is true, this is extremely concerning. Okay, it means that we're falling behind China, so very concerning. And then here we have some footage of one of their new air-launched ballistic missiles. This one right here, the JL-1. Okay, so it kind of looks like the Russian Iskander missile or a Scud missile, but it's actually supposedly launched from air, from bombers, and also it can be launched from the ground. Okay. Here we have a picture of Putin, Xi Jinping, and Kim Jong-un. Here's a picture of the new Chinese laser weapon system, the LY-1. Here's a closer look at it, okay? And then here we have some video footage of assorted drones and what appear to be unmanned stealth aircraft of some kind. Right there you can see some kind of unmanned stealth drone. I don't know if this is a recon drone, an attack drone, but you notice that China copies our weapons. Like this drone right here looks just like an American Predator drone. Okay, so everything that we have, they basically kind of copy it almost 100%. Okay, but you can see all these stealth drones, which is very, very concerning. Here's another picture of these stealth drones. And here's a screenshot of the German Chancellor's Twitter page, where he says that Putin is a war criminal. He is perhaps the most severe war criminal of our time that we see on a large scale. We must be clear about how to deal with war criminals. Leniency is out of place here. Wow. And the Slovakian Prime Minister Robert Fico told the Russian president yesterday that he will seek to normalize relations with Russia. So looks like and he actually met with Putin at the Chinese summit and the military parade. He was there and they met. So very concerning situation with Slovakia getting super close to Putin. But that's the latest breaking news that I have. I will be back later on tonight with a live update and live coverage. And until the next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere. And this update was sponsored by EMP Shield. Guys, EMP Shield has created a special discount just for you, the listeners of the NYPrepper channel. If you go to empshield.com and use the promo code NYPrepper, you can get 15% off your entire order. And why do you need an EMP shield? Well, this is a special device to protect your vehicle, your RV, your solar generators, your radios from an electromagnetic pulse, which could be caused by a solar flare or potentially a rogue country like North Korea detonating an electromagnetic pulse weapon over the United States that's mounted onto a satellite. So protect your vehicles, protect your RV, protect your radios, protect your generators with an EMP shield. Use my promo code NYPrepper to get 15% off. Installation is super simple. This is a veteran-owned business, 100% American-made, and the EMP shields have been tested by the military, okay? And free shipping is included to the entire continental United States. And the link and the promo code are in the description below this video.